basically people must know what was the old government and how they were working those days. So the truth is the truth, and everybody has accepted it.
In the name of file, if you want to show something to the nation, I believe that it should not be half truth, because half truth can lead to more dangerous situation.
See, the director who has made this movie is saying that this is a story, it's a fictitious story, it is something related to the incident. It might not be 100% true, but it's a story in the form of a movie, wherein my honorable prime minister says that this is a fact.
Their migration is very sad. The incidences that happened were very sad. But remember, 1 lakh Muslims are killed in Kashmir by the terrorists. 1 lakh, not a small figure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Fact Flashes Talk of the Town. Talk of the Town these days is a movie, The Kashmir Files. I am sure a lot of you must have seen it by now. Now, on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, I have been joined by a group of intellectual gentlemen from the city of Vadodara. Without much ado, let me introduce them to you. We have been joined by the BJP spokesperson, Mr. Sanjeev Pancholi. Thank you so much, sir. We have been joined by a veteran lawyer, Advocate Hitesh Gupta. Thank you so much, sir, for being here with us. We've been joined by Mr. Niketan Contractor, who is again an intellectual person in the city. He has also witnessed this entire partition that happened and the situation that happened in Kashmir back then. And we have been joined by a Congress politician, Mr. Pragnesh Tewar. Thank you so much, sir, for being here with us. Now, today we'll be discussing about the Kashmir Files. People, the movie critics, they have all been saying that there are certain situations in the film that have been exaggerated. On the contrary, the ruling party, the government is giving free of cost tickets to people who want to watch the film, and they are promoting the film in some way or the other. Let us know what all of these gentlemen have to say. So over to you. So we'll start with you. BJP has been, like I just said, they have been distributing a free of cost tickets to people who want to see the movie. What is the main agenda behind it, and how is the party seeing it is very important for everyone to know.
Basically, for this Kashmir issue, when BJP has been formed in 1980, that was in our manifesto regarding the Kashmir issues. That is 370, the column that everybody should get the equal opportunities in the Kashmir. So in this movie that we are watching, that the Kashmiri Pandits, those were really they had been thrown out from the Kashmir, and the various issues are there. So basically, BJP mean that Kashmir is a part and partial, and it is the part of our country. So everybody must have the equal opportunity in the country, and the manner, the government of those days, the government has you see has taken out what do you call that, freedom of the Kashmiri Pandits. So basically people must know what was the old government and how they were working those days. So the truth is the truth, and everybody has accepted it. So people must know the truth, the real truth about the Kashmir, the real truth about the Kashmiri Pandits, and the real truth about the government of those days and the politics of those days. That's why BJP is encouraging people to watch this movie.
Right. Coming to you, sir. When we talk about the legal part of everything that happened back then, right now that we have removed Article 370, and now that Kashmir is free, finally, it's a part of the country. Back then, whatever happened, people have every now and then been saying that everything that we see in the movie is exaggerated, and that's not the exact situation that happened back then. Whatever happened back then, what was the best solution legally?
See, it It was a very sad incident, a nightmare for the country, but not the first instance for the nation. It happened way back in 1947 at the time of partition. It was thereafter when we talk of Mahatma Gandhi's assassination, riots took place all over the country. We talk of Operation Blue Star, Indira Gandhi assassination. Rajiv Gandhi was also assassinated. See, there are instances, if we talk of files, Kashmir files, we said, if we talk of files, there are several files. But in the name of file, if you want to show something to the nation, I believe that it should not be half truth, because half truth can lead to more dangerous situation. I have seen this movie. The feeling which I got when I came out of the theater, certainly it was ending on a very sad note, where 24 people are just killed by a gunshot on their forehead. And the last one was a teenager of around 12, 13 years. So certainly when you leave the movie house, that is the climax and end. The movie ends there with a gunshot on the forehead of a kid. So when the movie is ending there, then certainly whether a male or a female would be more emotionally dragged at that point of time. And that's one of the main reason we have seen people, a lot of people crying, very emotional scenes. But then, who was ruling the country at that point of time was the key question for me. That is not shown. See, this is the problem. This is the problem. You show truth. The feeling that this youth is getting today is that, oh, 1990, Rajiv Gandhi era. That is Congress government. But the fact is that at that point of time, it was VP Singh's government with the support of BJP alliance. Now, this situation is not shown, that the country was ruled until 1989, there was Congress rule, then VP Singh, followed by Chandrasekhar, and thereafter PV Narasimha Rao. The hung parliament actually started in 19 after the era of Rajiv Gandhi, after 89. This is the actual history. But when we see this movie, what we only feel, the message that people at large get is that 70-year government is responsible for this genocide also. Krishna, I very much feel that every story, everything has, every coin has the other side. There are people today who are trying to even justify Mahatma Gandhi's assassination. We have a group who are followers of Godse. They openly follow Godse. So tomorrow, if a movie is portrayed only focusing Godse as a hero, then Mahatma Gandhi will become a villain. This is, in my view, as practicing on criminal side, is perhaps dangerous for the future of this country. You show truth, let it be the actual truth then. Half truth can lead to a dangerous situation. What I have understood, I did after watching this movie, until I was watching the movie, I was actually curious that what is this, like if our PM is coming in front promoting the movie when a comedian Kapil Sharma for some controversy perhaps had denied. It was something which was required to be understood, that what is there. But then when I saw it, this genocide took place. But there are scenes, few scenes, which are taken from the Kashmir Files. It is not 100% truth. And why to target Indian Muslims? Why? Why we are not giving a clear message? There is a scene in the movie where Pakistani currency was being promoted in Kashmir at that time when this genocide took place. So, what is that? It is Pakistani oriented massacre. It was basically Pakistan who was behind this. But sadly, when I leave the movie hall, I feel that it was Indian Muslim, not Pakistanis. See, this is something which can lead to a very tensed communal situation. And as a Indian, when I see this lovely country as a secular state, our secularism is always targeted. That if it comes to Hinduism, we always say, where is secularism? And when we talk something in favor of Indian Muslim, we may be targeted as why he is not leaving the country. See, this is one situation where we, the people of India, that is what is the very first line of Indian Constitution. Yes, 370 was very much required to be removed. It was very much needed. But Krishna, what is that period? 370 को निकल के कितना टाइम हो गया? क्या हुआ इन काश्मीरी पंडितों का जो 370 निकलने के बाद क्या वो आज अपने घर पर जा पा रहे हैं? बेसिकली जो होना चाहिए, what was required was this, कि 370 रिमूव हुआ, उसके एक साल के अंदर अंदर जितने लोगों के घर वहां पे है उन सबको अपने घर पर विद द सेम लाइफ दैट दे वर लिविंग, जो बंजर घर था वो घर उनको मिलना चाहिए था. फिर सी, बोलना पॉलिटिकली या बात करना इज वन थिंग, बट व्हेन वी टॉक ऑफ नेशन वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट ये देश सभी धर्मों को मिलाकर है. अगर इस देश में बात करें हम प्रधानमंत्री की, राष्ट्रपति की, देश को आज़ादी दिलाने के लिए भी अगर हम बात करते हैं तो देयर वर मुस्लिम लीडर्स एज वेल. वाई टू ओनली फोकस एंड वाई टू इवन डिस्कस बेस्ड ऑन रिलेशन व्हेन वी टॉक ऑन रिलीजन पोर्शन? काश्मीरी पंडितों के ऊपर बहुत सारे लेखकों ने बहुत सारी बुक्स लिखी है. हमारा प्रॉब्लम कहाँ है व्हेन वी टॉक ऑफ दिस काश्मीर फाइल्स मूवी का? बुक्स हम कितना पढ़ते हैं? वेरी रेयरली. देयर वुड बी हार्डली 10% to 20% ऑफ अ क्लास जो बुक्स पढ़ेंगे, और उसमें भी काश्मीर फाइल पढ़ने की बात आएगी तो वो 10-20% का जो क्लास है उसमें से भी शायद 2% होगा हु वुड बी इंटरेस्टेड टू रीड काश्मीर. But when it comes to a Bollywood movie, that too promoted in best of the possible manner, तो उसका impact पब्लिक एट लार्ज के ऊपर आई वुड से 80% से ज़्यादा लोग चाहते हुए न चाहते हुए कि नहीं इस मूवी में कुछ तो है, मुझे देखना है, और हम जाते हैं, देखते हैं. बट उसके बाद का जो है देयर इज़ अ सैड फीलिंग. मैं इंडियन हूँ, मेरे देश में ये हुआ है और ये हम दिखा रहे हैं पूरे दुनिया को कि दिस इज व्हाट वन इंडियन डिड विद अनदर इंडियन फॉर सम पॉलिटिकल रीजंस और गॉट वेरी मच इजीली इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय अ पाकिस्तान जिसकी खुद की कोई हैसियत नहीं थी. और देखो ये लोग कैसे लड़ रहे हैं. ये मूवी पूरी दुनिया भी देख रही है. कहीं ना कहीं सेंसर बोर्ड जब इन सब चीज़ों को, यस देयर इज फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच, बननी चाहिए ना, सारी मूवीज बननी चाहिए, बट अगर हम यही सिलसिला चालू रखेंगे तो मैंने जैसे कहा राजीव गांधी तक ख़त्म नहीं हुआ था. उसके बाद 1992 हुआ, राम मंदिर बाबरी ध्वंस, पूरी दुनिया जल रही थी उस टाइम पे. उसके बाद गुजरात 2002, कल को अगर गुजरात 2002 को लेकर अगर उसकी फाइल्स खुली गई, व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन? एंड कृष्णा, बहुत कम लोगों को मालूम है, बहुत कम लोगों को, महात्मा गांधी असैसिनेशन में वीर सावरकर की अगर हम बात करें तो वीर सावरकर ही वॉज अ फ्रीडम फाइटर, दैट इज व्हाट वी ऑल नो. बट बहुत कम लोगों को ये मालूम है दैट वीर सावरकर, विनायक दामोदर दास सावरकर, वॉज one of the 11 accused in Mahatma Gandhi assassination case. He was acquitted from the charges of criminal conspiracy only due to lack of evidence. ये फाइल्स हैं, ये है फाइल्स, ये हमने पढ़ी है, जो रिकॉर्ड पर है. जजमेंट मिलता है. अगर महात्मा गांधी असैसिनेशन केस का जजमेंट पढ़ना चाहें तो इंडियन आर्किटेक्चरल जो हिस्ट्री है उसकी ऑफिशियल गवर्नमेंट की वेबसाइट पे ये सारी चीज़ें अवेलेबल है. कोई नहीं पढ़ता है ये सब चीज़ें. और आज अगर हम एक लार्जर मैसेज देना चाहते हैं, एक लार्जर तरीके से कुछ पोर्ट्रे करना चाहते हैं, वी कम अप विद अ डिफरेंट स्टोरी, वी कम अप विद अ डिफरेंट लाइन. लेकिन सच बताइए ना, अगर आपको एक फाइल बतानी है तो वो फाइल में जो था वो सब बताइए. अगर आप उस फाइल के कुछ पन्ने अपने कमर्शियल गेन के लिए यूज करके और फिर ये पोर्ट्रे करने की कोशिश करेंगे दैट वॉट एवर वी आर शोइंग इज 100% ट्रूथ, आई रियली क्वेश्चन इट.
Right. We also have Niketan Sorbata, someone who has witnessed or who was present at that time and who was, who has studied this. So, like what Mr. Hitesh Gupta said, that half truth is dangerous. You were present. How was it? What was it?
See, I'll tell you the factual. In Kashmir, not a single political party is absolved. Not a single political party. 1990, yes, he's right that VP Singh was the Prime Minister. But this whole thing started in 87 when Kashmir is alleged that the elections were rigged and Farooq Abdullah was imposed on them. That is where the youngsters started against Farooq Abdullah, got Pakistan influence, Pakistan money, Pakistan started intervening a lot. And we came to the year 1990 when Rajiv Gandhi was no more the Prime Minister and a new government had taken over. The new government had Mufti Muhammad Saeed as their Home Minister. Mufti Muhammad Saeed's daughter Rubia was abducted by terrorists. Now, whether it was an abduction or a match fixing, nobody knows. Yeah. So he was abducted. At that time, there is a cabinet record which said that George Fernandez told Mufti Muhammad that if you stand firm, people will forget Sardar Patel in this country. You will be the hero. But Mufti Muhammad gave in, VP Singh gave in, and the terrorists were released. And that was a big victory for Pakistan, a massive victory for Pakistan. Farooq Abdullah ran away. He ran away from Kashmir. This is in record. I'm not telling my story. This is in record that in the cabinet, Farooq Abdullah was present. He said, well, if they are going to be released, I have no control. Here I resign and here I go. And he ran away outside. He was in England, right? And there was complete chaos. They brought in Jagmohan, who later on became a BJP minister also, as governor. Jagmohan was a very senior politician, very mature politician. He was also a governor during Congress rule. He was brought in to control the situation, but the situation had deteriorated quite a bit when he took over. Kashmir has many incidences like this. Many incidences where there are local compromises, terrorists have been released from the jail and all that. Another major incident that happened was Kandahar. Kandahar, Atalji was the Prime Minister. The plane was hijacked to Kandahar. And we released the worst of the terrorists. The worst of the terrorists were released from the jail. Masood and all that. Azhar Masood. Kashmir has been, it's a thing which is a hot burning fire 24/7. 24/7, I would say. This movie might have shown, honestly speaking, I told one of my students that rather seeing Kashmiri Files, you should see an old TV serial called Gul Gulshan Gulfam, which shows harmony amongst the Pandits and the Muslims in Kashmir. See, movie is being sold to the people, again, I come back to 1990 when I was in Jammu.
You were
I
present
vi-
here.
yes, I was in Jammu. I have visited the tents of Kashmiri Pandits. I had helped them with an IT program of the kids. I mean, many Kashmiri Pandits told me that no, sir, not all Muslims have done this. You know, this guy saved me, and that is okay, and this is fine. I mean, by names. Mirwais Faruqi, who was the president of the Muslims, the masjid over there, came out openly and said that you should not have abducted Rubia and was shot dead. Right? We could not capitalize on it. We could not capitalize on it. That they killed their own guru. You know, his son is still the chairman of the masjid over there. The Abdullahs have played havoc with Kashmir, just eating money, sometimes aligning with Congress, sometimes with Janata Dal, sometimes with BJP. He was a minister. Omar Abdullah was a minister in Bajpayee government. How can we forget that? Right? Same, these fellows, Mufti Muhammad Saeed and his daughters. They are another rapist of Kashmir. You know? So, this whole, where were they? Come on. Mufti Muhammad was the home minister. Farooq Abdullah was the chief minister. He had the full support of Congress party. Full support in the assembly of Congress party. In fact, there were only 4 MLAs which were in opposition. And one was a communist MLA. That communist MLA said, "Ke tame su karyu?" No. What did you do? With a majority of more than 90% in the assembly, you couldn't control this and you ran away. Right? Nobody, everybody has been vested interest. They all wanted to make money over there. They have made enough money for 50 generations to come in their family, right? Havoc has been played in this state. This movie, yes, he has tried to show certain. I haven't watched it yet, but I will watch it. But from what I see, the trailers and all, I think let's not put it like this that everybody is a victim. Don't compare it with the genocide of Hitler. I mean, Hitler, 6 million people were killed by Hitler. 60 lakhs people were killed. You don't have that population also in Kashmir. Just 4% of the population. Their migration is very sad. The incidences that happened were very sad. But remember, 1 lakh Muslims are killed in Kashmir by the terrorists. 1 lakh, not a small figure. 1 lakh Muslims are killed. Both cases are different. Let's evaluate it case by case. And then years have passed, 32 years. I am talking of 1998, right? Where I helped a boy in Rosary School to get an admission because he was a Kashmiri Pandit son, right? 32 years have passed, right? And yet those guys are in tents. Where is the government? Where is the government? Which government? Don't say this numbers measured. The numbers are less, so their voice was not heard. You know, the movie has tried it. Now let's see. See, I have an employee. She's a Kashmiri. She's a Kashmiri. The girl who walked right now. So I asked her that what is it now? Because, of course, she was born 3 years after this 1990. And I asked her, what is this? She said, honestly, sir, Kashmiri Pandit nahi hai abhi, Srinagar mein. But उनके जो घर थे, right? बड़े बड़े बंगलोज थे, उसमें एप्रिकॉट के बगीचे थे, सब थे, right? वो अभी भी वहाँ है, कोई अंदर रहने नहीं गया है. And this, I had seen it myself late in 1990s when I again went to Kashmir. I had seen it, like, okay. And the normal common man in Kashmir is a very poor man. His economic situation is very bad. It's not Gujarat or it's not Maharashtra or it's not Tamil Nadu or Bangalore. Even for a paltry sum to work in coffee shops, people are ready. And ready to migrate from Kashmir. So, well, hopefully I wish that the film does not create a divide between Hindus and Muslims. Truth should come out. And I would like to end with a very beautiful English movie. It was called Schindler's List. Schindler's List showed that even a Christian helped the Jews during that time. And he helped them so much that he broke his business and all that. And now that category of Jews are called Schindler's Jews. You know, they were saved by him. Our Maharaja of Jamnagar, he saved so many Jews during that time. So there are stories on both sides. No need to politicize it, like I think. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So now, coming to you, sir. We heard that this movie is being sold to us. The movie is being politicized. You're from Congress. What do you have to say?
See, let me talk about this movie not as a congressman, but as an Indian. I would start my first line with a statement which I object from, that was your line, that later on Kashmir became our integral part. Kashmir became integral part of this nation with efforts of our great leaders since 1947, August 1947. It was not annexed at the very same date, but it was annexed at a later stage when Maharaja Harisi signed the aggression submissions. Let us think other way around. Let us put it as a fact that Kashmir genocide had happened. I don't call it even an exodus. I call it genocide. There's a lot of difference between exodus and genocide. Genocide is about ethnically targeting and ethnically cleansing a specific community by some other community. We might blame that we have blamed lot of times. हिंदुस्तान में तो ऐसा है कि कोई भी गलती होती है तो पाकिस्तान जिम्मेदार है, लेकिन हम हमेशा भूल जाते हैं कि पाकिस्तान की जिम्मेदारी है तो हमारी राष्ट्र के प्रति उतनी ही जिम्मेदारी है उससे लड़ने की, उससे मुकाबला करने की, उससे डट के मुकाबला करने की. आई एम टॉकिंग एज अ इंडियन. So first thing, what I agree is that facts should be shown. There are three sides of this entire chapter. Post, this genocide, during the time of genocide was happening, and later on the exodus. I separate these two things as part of genocide and then exodus. And third portion is post this whole scenario. All three scenarios has to be seen in a very neutral way as an Indian. First of all, as Nikitan said, that he had seen the conditions in 1990. If we consider this whole situation, then certain facts has not been shown in the movie. One very surprising thing I find is that it's a movie. It's telling us a story. It's telling a brutal story which has happened in Kashmir. Nobody denies that. Kashmiri's Pandit faced a lot of brutalities. Nobody denies that. That should be brought into the notice of the Indian public. Nobody denies it. Even our senior leaders have commented on that. But see, at the same time, public should be fed with facts. I am very surprised that my Prime Minister Narendra Modi is propagating a movie which at the start of the movie puts a disclaimer that these events are based on the stories by the people and these are not the actual events. And my honorable Prime Minister stands on the parliament floor and exhibits. See, the director who has made this movie is saying that this is a story. It's a fictitious story. It is something related to the incident. It might not be 100% true, but it's a story in the form of a movie, wherein my honorable Prime Minister says that this is a fact. Now, that is a very surprising thing. I think Mr. Gupta would understand this thing very technically and legality of this section. At the same time, let us not forget that it is our collective responsibility. Even as Gujaratis, we have a responsibility towards Kashmiris. Even a Maharashtrian has a responsibility towards Kashmiris. And Kashmir, how do we know Kashmir? कश्मीर को आज भी हम याद करते हैं तो जन्नत ऑफ इंडिया कश्मीर. हमारे मुंह से स्कूल में भी हम पढ़ते थे तो जन्नत के तौर पर ही दिखाया जाता था. आई एम बॉर्न इन 71. उसके पहले के जितने मूवीज है 80s की अगर आप मूवीज देखेंगे, 90s के स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट की अगर आज मूवी देखेंगे, मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द फिल्म शूटिंग्स वर डन इन कश्मीर. कश्मीर वाज अ हब ऑफ फिल्म शूटिंग्स. So we have to think in a way what turned into a terrorist kind of a state, terrorist affected state. That is a very interesting point, and we all should ponder, not as Gujaratis. We should not look at this issue as a Hindu or a Muslim issue. Definitely, as Sir said, there are 1 lakh Muslims were killed along with Hindus also in the terrorist act. What was the terrorist issue? There were some separatists who were fighting, and they were believing that they want an independent Kashmir on the basis of guns, on the basis and with the force of guns. They wanted to force people of Kashmir to join them, or they either leave them. Now, when these things happen, a specific minority was targeted. That also nobody can deny. Nobody is denying that. And third thing comes as what we do for the Kashmiris who were displaced. Which government did for the Kashmiris who were displaced, who was brutally murdered? There are number of files. There's a movie called as Madras Cafe, which was based on the assassination of Honorable Rajiv Gandhi ji. And it's a very interesting story. It's a very interesting story how the things were happening, how people were targeted, how our Indian politicians were targeted. I believe very firmly one thing: if my honorable Prime Minister is propagating this film, which the director claims to be a story, called a story, then he has given a clear-cut path to Pakistan, that Pakistan had been successful in dividing India on communal lines, and we have not been able to counter that in a substantial way. Now, there is one another interesting thing also. Jagmohan ji was the governor at that time of Kashmir. Farooq Abdullah, as Sir said, very rightly recorded, he has absolute splendid memory even after 32 years. Farooq Abdullah had objected that if you leave this kind of terrorist, we lose control over the state. He resigned in against of that government's policy to bow down against terrorists. But BJP, I am not targeting BJP. As I said, I will not speak a word called as BJP. I am talking about my Prime Minister. I am talking a film about my country. Kashmir is my Kashmir. Kashmir is equally your Kashmir. Kashmir is equally Kashmiri. Kashmir is Kashmir. So, interesting part is, what did the government do, the prevailing government do at that time? And what did the post-Exodus governments do at that time? We have seen number of governments after that. I.K. Gujaral's government, Chandrasekhar ji's government, VP Singh government was in power during this Exodus time, supported by BJP with not 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll correct the figures. 85 elected MPs in parliament, and they did not speak a word about it. Number 2, very surprisingly, my today's Prime Minister, Honorable Narendra Modi ji, was the observer, Prabhari of Kashmir in those days, and he was considered to be a very close person to Jagmohan ji. Influenced, Jagmohan ji was very close to him. Later on, Jagmohan ji joined BJP, but my honorable Prime Minister was Prabhari from the party of Kashmir at that time. Second thing, I'll come to the post-Exodus situation. Post-Exodus situation comes in as I said, it is our collective responsibility. I am sitting in Gujarat, I am sitting in my nice house, I don't have to go to visit, I don't have to go and visit Kashmir so often, so that is Kashmir's problems. I cannot say that as an Indian. Every state contributes India in different forms. Haryana gives maximum of military and agricultural. Punjab gives industry and agricultural. Gujarat gives commerce and revenue. Maharashtra gives commerce and revenue. Even northeast states have their own. किसी के पास कुछ है, किसी के पास कुछ कम है, किसी के पास कुछ ज्यादा है, लेकिन हर स्टेट कंट्रीब्यूट करके एक देश को बनाता है. That is the ideology of the nation. That is the version of a true India. That anywhere, अगर मेरा कोई छोटा भाई है, नॉर्थ ईस्ट में है, कहीं कमजोर है, तो I will not discriminate him on the basis of his caste or his religion or his race or his eating habits. But I'll see him as an Indian because he is contributing to the nation, and that collectively makes us a nation. I'll come back again to the post-Exodus scenario, post-genocide scenario. It is a collective responsibility, as I said, of all the governments, including the Congress government, including the BJP government, including any coalition government. Nobody can deny that we have nothing to do with Kashmir. Nobody can deny that nobody can select. It's not an option. You are not given an option that you have to be out of the Kashmir issue or not. It is my responsibility. It is responsibility to everybody sitting here in this room, even if we have gone to Kashmir or not. It's an integral part of India. Our leaders, stalwart leaders, have given a lot of blood, lot of their time, lot of their life of years to get Kashmir to India. Now, post this situation, it becomes our collective responsibility. An incident has happened, which was absolutely a absolutely a atrocity over atrocity on the human nature and human mankind. It questions our humanity towards the issue. Second thing, now if the incidents has happened, we cannot rewind it and we cannot go back to the time machine and change it. But it becomes our collective responsibility to see that these people get their justice, to see that they get their rights, to see that they get their display, they get their other benefits, so that we can collectively help them to re-establish, restabilize, and again settle in life and come to the normalcy of life. So comparing the governments also, as I am from Congress, I would definitely speak about Dr. Manmohan Singh initiative. He did a splendid initiative. He gave a budget of 1600 crores specifically for Kashmir for rehabilitation package. 4,983 flats were built for the rehabilitated families who were given the flats. People who did not want to take the flats and people who wanted cash emoluments and who were displaced, they were given cash amounts. There were around 6,000 jobs created specifically for the purpose that any Kashmiri Pandit who is out of Kashmir, has left Kashmir and wants to settle back in Jammu and Kashmir, they will be given jobs. And that was the only specific criteria, that these are 6,000 jobs which will only be given to the Kashmiri Pandits who have relocated or established somewhere or started staying somewhere. So this was an initiative, and I would very firmly say one thing about it. Such a genius man like Dr. Manmohan Singh, Honorable Dr. Manmohan Singh, he said once, I have read his interview, he very nicely said, what I am saying today is not my line, it is his line, that it is our collective responsibility as Indians to see that Kashmiris get their justice, and we have to go an extra mile, walk a extra mile again, to see that our brothers who are in Kashmir, immaterial of Hindu, Muslims, there is a huge number of Sikhs also in Kashmir. Huge number of Sikhs are there in Kashmir. And I was so very glad when I had an opportunity to visit in 2013 Kashmiris. My attendant was a Muslim guy. My coordinator, my assistant in Kashmir on the political front was a Sikh guy. And there was no Hindu around, but we were talking to about all these people, and they were so much happy with the situation that, okay, slowly the things are coming to normal stage and we are happy that our business will grow. Kashmir is a tourist place. If tourists don't go, guns will never attract tourists. Dr. Manmohan Singh had said this superb line in his interview, that if we want to curb the guns, you have to give opportunities to the youth of this nation in forms of jobs, in forms of tourism, that will bring normalcy in their life. A dying man will go to either be misguided by terrorists. When we say Pakistan is doing this in Kashmir, yes, Pakistan has done that. We have created two pieces of Pakistan. So Pakistan is going to revert back, Pakistan is going to attack back. That is going to happen for coming 50 years also. But that doesn't mean that we will leave Kashmir and Kashmiris who are Indians, who are absolutely Indians, we cannot leave them on their own feet. Now, again, I am not condemning Modi government only. Their Modi government might have taken some initiatives. I do know of some of the initiatives. I can speak for hours and hours together on that. But let us compare. The overall, coming back to the point of the movie, there is no doubt fact should be shown to the nation. No doubt about it. But as Gupta ji said, that please show the fact. As he, in a very nutshell, in his ending note, said a very remarkable line. I liked that line a lot. That when you go to the movie, you are going to see the plight of Kashmiris. But when you come out of the movie after watching it, you make it a Hindu-Muslim journey. That is very dangerous for the nation. On an ending note, sir, I think my age might be of your experience. आपका जितना experience हुआ उतना तो मेरा शायद age है. But out of curiosity, I was sitting with the maps of 1947, pre-1947. which are available on net. And pre 1947 maps, then post 1947 maps of India, Pakistan, everything. Being a civil engineer, I have a basic interest in maps. I was very much surprised. I was very much surprised that such a nation with such huge diversity. I have till today, I have talked to a lot of historians. I have never understood one thing. Why did South India join India? I have never understood one thing. They were never under British rule. Certain states of South India were never under British rule. Why did they join India? Certain states of Northeast were never under British rule. Why did they join India? I have never understood this thing. I have questioned it to so many authentic historians, including Dr. Ram Puniani, including Dr. Hari Desai, including Dr. Gopinathan from South India. Number of people. I have never understood why the nation of different culture, different languages, different religions. At every third state, you see different kind of. जैसे आप ऊपर में आप जाएंगे तो नीचे कुछ लोग है, साउथ में कुछ लोग रावण की भी पूजा करते हैं, ऊपर में राम की पूजा करते हैं, काली को कलकत्ता में माता कहा जाता है, नीचे कुछ और कहा जाता है. इतने डाइवर्सिटी वाले लोग, एक कौन सी ऐसी घटना थी जिससे एक साथ जुड़े? शायद हम वो अगर घटना को अगर कहेंगे तो वो एक ही घटना थी. दैट वाज ओनली वन सिचुएशन दैट वी थॉट ऑफ मेकिंग वन नेशन. That we thought of making one nation. So when we see this movie, rather I have encouraged my entire staff. We have a lot of workers on the side who are literally layman people, not educated people. Around 60-70 people are there. We have encouraged our entire staff to go and see the movie. Literate, educated, as well as illiterate people, and we have encouraged all three categories to go and see the movie without any prejudice and see the situation, think on their own, what they want to see, how they want to make their nation, where we want to lead the nation in the coming years. That is what it is more important. My ending note should be, we cannot leave Kashmiris on their note, on their fate. It is our collective responsibility as Indians, not as Gujarati, not as Maharashtrians, not as Punjabis, but it is our collective responsibility that this traits of Pakistan should not succeed, and our honorable leaders should not glorify so-called stories which has a disclaimer in the starting of the movie to a level wherein we would create a divide in our own nation and own country.
Right. Now, let me just quickly move to Sanjeev, sir. Sir, you have heard all of these comments, and they sound very similar. That it is half factual. There are some facts that have not been shown. In the beginning of the movie, I haven't watched the film, but is there a disclaimer which says that
Each and every movie basically have a
Right.
disclaimer that is even though it is based on the real story, but while you are making a movie, so you must have written the words that these are not based on the real story. That is a disclaimer in each and every movie, basically. But the people of India, the olden people, the people those who have a great experience of the India, and those who are very senior, they understand these. What are the truths?
we have sir with us?
Let me. Yes, sir has told us a lot of things. So I would like to say, Abhi, we
Yeah,
have
yeah,
talked
yeah,
a lot of butterly, lot of things has been talked by, and each and everybody has given their opinion. Basically, what is the Kashmir issue? I would like to say, the Raja Hari Singh has been joined India at the very last, the last kingdom who has joined the India as by Raja Hari Singh. But why? Why the last? Why the last? Because nowadays, and not nowadays, since the India-Pakistan war, or since the whatever it is there, what is the history? The POK border, still date. हम बोलते हैं कि POK border हमारा है, पाकिस्तान बोलती है POK border उनका है. The Kashmir issue is based on the POK border, basically. तो हरि सिंह को भी उसी वक्त नहीं, let me speak. हरि सिंह उसी वक्त, हरि सिंह को अपना खुद का मतलब, he wants his own state, कि I will be the king of this Jammu and Kashmir and I will rule this state. But even though he could not do that, why? Because there was a terrorism on those days in the POK area. एंड दोज मिलिटेंट्स, वो जो आतंकवादी थे, उन लोगों ने हरि सिंह को परेशान किया. तो इंडिया हैज सेंड देयर मिलिट्री एंड द पावर्स दोस डेज. और हरि सिंह उसी की वजह से मतलब वो बदौलत ही हिंदुस्तान में जुड़े हैं, क्योंकि वो भी उनसे परेशान थे. और वो देखो, इफ वी डू एनीथिंग, बट द हिंदूज आर हिंदूज एंड मुस्लिम्स आर द मुस्लिम्स. बट ये जो पूरा व्हाट इज द गेम प्लान, द इवैक्यूएशन ऑफ द कश्मीरी पंडित, दैट हैज बीन डन बाय द फारूक अब्दुल्ला, मुफ्ती मोहम्मद सईद, in the VP Singh's government. Why in the VP Singh's government? Those days, Rajiv Gandhi has a 197 MPs. अगर वो चाहते तो अपनी खुद की सरकार वो बना सकते थे, पर उन्होंने वो सरकार नहीं बनाई. और उन्हें बताया कि भाई नो, वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू फॉर्म द गवर्नमेंट, लेट द VP Singh हैज टू फॉर्म द गवर्नमेंट. सो अल्टीमेटली भारतीय जनता पार्टी हैज गिवन अ सपोर्ट फ्रॉम आउटसाइड. Mufti Mohammad Said, who became the home minister, and Farooq Abdullah, who was the game changer, because they want everything. The bagan jo the, the apricots bagans and everything, even their houses of the Kashmiri Pandit are still there. But the majority of the properties, the crops, you see the whole industry, the what we can say this, ये पूरा काजू अखरोट बादाम, मतलब अखरोट का जो बादाम का जो बागे है बागान, तो the whole dry fruit market, that belongs to these people. तो ये लोगों ने उन पर कब्जा किया. तो व्हाट वाज द रीजन कि भाई पैसा चाहिए तो इन लोगों को इवैक्यूएट कराना पड़ेगा. तो दैट वाज द गेम प्लान विद द गुड हेल्प ऑफ राजीव गांधी गवर्नमेंट. दिस इज अ वेरी ट्रू. ये पिक्चर में नहीं दिखाया है, पर दिस इज अनदर स्टोरी. मेरे दोस्त कहते हैं कि भाई मोदी साहब ऐसा बोलते हैं, पर इट इज अ डिस्क्लेमर. एंड ईच एंड एवरी फिल्म हैव अ डिस्क्लेमर. Not a single picture or a single serial.
We'll come back to all
Not,
this.
not a single picture or a single serial on the TV is a without disclaimer. So it is a true story. Everybody knows it. And ultimately, Hari Singh was, you see, वो militant से इतना वो घबराया हुआ था, इसीलिए तो हिंदुस्तान में वो जुड़ा. Otherwise, he has own kingdom. And after evacuating the Kashmiri Pandits, all this Farooq Abdullah, Mufti Muhammad said, I am not saying all Muslims are bad. But all Muslims are militant, that is true. आप कितने भी नाम देख लो, this is a fact, this is a bottom line, what I am saying. But you see, देखिए, हमें मानवता, we must have a मानवता. हमें मतलब we must mean in humanity. We are the diversified country. जैसे सब हमारा मतलब बोलता है कि भाई हिंदू, सिख, ईसाई, मुस्लिम सब भाई, तो everything sometimes is on paper. पर हम इतने हार्ड भी मतलब सॉफ्ट भी नहीं रहेंगे तो कोई हम पर चढ़ाई कर दे. दिस इज द इंसिडेंस दैट वी आर द सॉफ्ट एंड दिस पीपल हैज
Right,
रूल्ड
Hitesh
अस.
sir, what would you
Thank
want
you.
to say?
When we talk of blame games, हमारे देश का the constitution है, it is based on a ruling party and opposition party. Failure of good governance वो सिर्फ सरकार की गलतियों की वजह से नहीं है. इट इज फेलियर ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ अपोजिशन टू रेज द प्रॉपर वॉइस एट द राइट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. 1990 में बैठी हुई कांग्रेस सरकार अगर अपोजिशन लीडर के तौर पे राजीव गांधी काम कर रहे थे तो इट वाज अपोजिशन लीडर के तौर पर आवाज उठाने का काम था उनका. वैसे ही अगर 70 ईयर्स के लिए जो हम ब्लेम करते रहते हैं कि 70 साल इस देश को बर्बाद कर दिया, ये हुआ, देयर वाज अपोजिशन एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम ऑल्सो. जो कश्मीर को लेकर अगर हम बात करते हैं, कश्मीर को लेकर, महाराजा हरि सिंह को लेकर जो आपने बात कही, बेसिकली हीज कॉल वाज, कश्मीर हमेशा से एक बेहद और सबसे ज़्यादा खूबसूरत जगह रही, अ स्पेशल प्लेस, और कश्मीर को एक स्पेशल दर्जा रहे. हेंस 370 was incorporated in the Indian Constitution. He wanted Kashmir to be the most special part. POK was not there at that point of time. POK was the result of India-Pakistan war. And जो दुख की बात है, जो हम नहीं एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हैं, शायद हम अपनी आंखें बंद करके बैठे हैं, पाकिस्तान का मैप अगर हम कश्मीर को लेकर देखते हैं तो एक अलग है, इंडिया का मैप अगर हम कश्मीर को लेकर देखते हैं तो एक अलग मैप है, चाइना का मैप अगर हम कश्मीर को लेकर देखेंगे तो एक अलग मैप है. मीन्स वी हैव 3 डिफरेंट कश्मीर्स. दिस इज प्रॉब्लमेटिक. एंड यस, तो ये एक काला दाग है 1990 हमारे देश पे, लेकिन ये कलंक के लिए हर नागरिक कैसे जिम्मेदार है? बिकॉज इट वॉज अ हंग पार्लियामेंट. देर वॉज नो क्लियर मेजॉरिटी. तो हंग पार्लियामेंट आने की वजह से बाहरी ताकतों को हिम्मत आई कि अभी ये अंदर अंदर झगड़ रहे हैं. चांस है, यू कैन डू व्हाट यू वांट टू डू. व्हाट वाज प्लान्ड इन 1971 और हम सक्सीड नहीं हुए हैं, वो 1990 में हंग पार्लियामेंट की वजह से शायद सक्सीड हो जाएंगे. बट आफ्टर 1990 वी आर लकी दैट 2014 वी गॉट अ क्लियर मेजॉरिटी गवर्नमेंट, जिसको इस तरह के कॉल्स, हार्श कॉल्स 370 को लेकर लिए. यस, क्यूडोस टू देम. जरूरत थी, इट वॉज रिक्वायर्ड टू बी रिमूव्ड. बट बाद में क्या, वो 370 हटने के बाद जो होना चाहिए, यू कैन नॉट एक्सपेक्ट इंडियंस टू वेट एंड वोट फॉर यू फॉर अनदर 15 ईयर्स कि हम 370 का इफेक्ट आपको 15 साल के बाद दिखाएंगे. आपको पता है जब आपको वोट मिला है 5 साल के लिए मिला है, वो 5 साल के पीरियड में अगर आपने 370 निकाला तो 5 साल खत्म होते होते डोंट वेट कि अब हम ये 370 के नाम पे अगले साल फिर वोट मांगेंगे और फिर हम कहेंगे कि अब अगले साल का टारगेट हमारा ये है कि अब हम कश्मीरी पंडितों को लेकर जाएंगे और हम उनको वहाँ पे रिहेबिलिट करेंगे. नो नो, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट 370. सी सर, 5 साल लग गए, मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ. मैं बोल रहा हूँ
2019 के बाद में तो
सर 2014 was a clear majority. See what happens is,
Yeah, yes.
sir,
Let us
I'm
just-
only on
let
one
us just
point.
get- let us-
Sir, I'm
let us
only
all-
one point, sir.
let's all finish.
That भाजपा हो या कांग्रेस, इस देश के बर्बादी के पीछे इन दोनों ही पार्टीज का चुप रहना राइट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम पे वो जिम्मेदार है. ये दोनों ही पार्टीज अगर हम गुजरात की बात करें तो गुजरात में अगर 25 साल से एक गवर्नमेंट काम कर रही है तो भी बात की जा रही है 70 ईयर्स की, तो उसमें ये नहीं गिना जाता कि 25 ईयर्स कौन सी गवर्नमेंट है यहाँ पे. अल्टीमेटली सरकार चलती है सेंट्रल और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट जब अच्छे से काम करे. और अगर कुछ गलत होता है, अगर स्कैम्स गुजरात में हुए हो 25 साल में, तो उसके लिए कांग्रेस इसलिए जिम्मेदार है क्योंकि उस 5 साल में आप सामने बैठकर चुप बैठे थे. अगर बड़ौदा में कुछ गलत हो रहा है तो सामने बैठी हुई कांग्रेस के जो कॉरपोरेटर्स है वो अगर चुप्पी साधेंगे तो रूलिंग पार्टी गलत करेगी. दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम कि राइट टाइम पे हमको आवाज नहीं उठाना है और फिर वो हो जाने के बाद चिल्लाना है आने वाले इलेक्शन में कि पिछले इलेक्शन में ये गलत हो गया. सर, जब तक हम देश के लिए राइट टाइम पे राइट कॉल लेने की बात नहीं करेंगे तो शायद हम हिस्ट्री फिर से लिखनी चाहिए ये बात नहीं करेंगे. आज क्यों ये ज़रूरत पड़ रही है कि हम ये कहते हैं कि इंडियन हिस्ट्री इज रिक्वायर्ड टू बी री रिटन. वाई? हिस्ट्री तो कभी री रिटन हो ही नहीं सकती. बट यस, अगर ट्रूथ को ट्विस्ट करना है देन देर इज सर्टनली अ नीड कि एक अलग नज़रिया भी होना चाहिए. इट कैन लीड टू सम डेंजरस सिचुएशन विच कैन नॉट बी फोर्सिन. हम इस तरह से बैठकर उसका क्या इफेक्ट आएगा वो हमें नहीं पता है. इट कैन लीड टू एनी डेंजरस सिचुएशन. कश्मीर का नक्शा चेंज हुआ है, कल को भारत का नक्शा चेंज हो जाएगा अगर हम इसी तरह से अंदर अंदर लड़ते रहेंगे और चुप बैठ के रहेंगे तो.
Yeah. It's a hot
Yeah, it is. But luckily, we just have one mic, so.
See, as far as Kashmir politics is concerned, the most respected person is Maharaja Hari Singh. I was in a shikara going to my houseboat, and I asked, the shikara fellow was a senior in age. So I asked him, who is your best leader till now in Kashmir? spurt of a second, he said, Maharaja Hari Singh. साहब क्या आदमी था. दवाइयाँ लेके हमारे घर आते थे महाराजा के हमको अच्छे करने के लिए. वो और उनकी मिसेस, I mean. This was it. So then I asked him about Farooq, बदमाश की बात मत करो मेरे साथ. Second question, right? Then I asked him about militants. बोले वो लौंडों में बुद्धि कहाँ है? अकल खाली है ये जो कर रहे हैं वो. Right? This was the level. Maharaja Hari Singh, even Dr. Karan Singh, his son, who later on became a minister in Mrs. Gandhi's cabinet, then he also got prominent positions during the BJP government and even during Janata Dal government. He is very, very rational man, very much in the soil of Kashmir. Excellent man, you know. So this was the second. And the third one, a very respected leader is Ghulam Nabi Azad. Well respected by all, Hindus as well as Muslims. Till now, not a single fellow has put a corruption charge against him or a charge. Kashmir, it's normal that some terrorists are sponsored by the Abdullahs and Mufti Muhammad and all these fellows, that loan and all that stuff. But he has never been charged of that, harboring any terrorist. He is a man of rationality and a man of following, you know, and a very open-hearted man. You could see it in Parliament also, a very open-hearted man. I suppose some solutions to Pandit problem should be there, should be coming through them, hopefully. I don't know, but I can tell you one thing, that Bala Saheb Thackeray was the only leader who gave reservations to Kashmiri Pandit children in Maharashtra. He was the only leader.
It is seen in the movie also.
Yeah.
This thing is there.
In the movie also, yeah. So let's hope things become better for our Kashmiri brothers and sisters. And maybe 10 years from now, you may not think of this problem.
Of course, we just hope that. So at the end, we'd want you to say something.
I'll take a little bit of 30 seconds extra and revisit the Indian history, which my very learned friend Pancholi ji maybe misquoted or maybe might have read from the sources I have not read. The basic problem of Kashmir, if I put it into very short words, when the annexation was going on, Sardar Patel was leading the annexation in Nehruji's guidance and Gandhiji's guidance. Maharaja Hari Singh had not signed the documents till a certain time. Let me finish. These are the records. What I am talking are the records on Parliament and also said by your leader, Mr. Vajpayee. Number one, Hari Singh signed the documents at a later stage, and Sardar Patel had very clearly indicated that as per the system, as per the formula derived, till you don't sign the documents, we will not be able to send the Indian army to defend you. Hari Singh had fled from the valleys and come to Jammu because the militants who had come from Pakistan had come in thousands and thousands to occupy the Kashmir-based area, which we today know as POK. So when the Indian army was sent, after Maharaja Hari Singh signed the documents, at that time already POK was under the hold of the militants, and then as well, because Maharaja Hari Singh had signed a document as owner of the total entire Kashmir, as Raja of the entire Kashmir, including POK and including the Indian occupied Kashmir as on date. So it was a combination of two portions which Maharaja Hari Singh had signed. Sardar Patel had sent the army at a later stage after the signing of Maharaja, and then on the issue started. Some people were of the opinion that they want to join with Pakistan. Some people were of the opinion that they want to join with India. Maharaja initially wanted to be an independent state, but later on when he realized that he would not be able to tackle this issue with his own might and his own resources, he had to surrender back to India. Sardar Patel played a very prominent role in taking action when Maharaja had signed. It is said in the history, and it has been spoken in the Parliament, that within an hour, Sardar Patel was so ready, he was so sure that Maharaja is going to sign today or tomorrow, and he was so ready that immediately the army was sent. And the portion which is now with India was left to India, and then they could not penetrate more into India. Coming back to the movie point, I'm glad Mr. Pancholi said that there is a disclaimer, and in every movie there is a disclaimer written. My question is very simple. When the director of the movie, when the producer of the movie says that there is a disclaimer, this is a so-called story, why do my honorable Prime Minister say that this is a true story-based event and you should go and watch? My Prime Minister could have very easily, my honorable Prime Minister could have very easily said that this is the plight of the Kashmiris. You go and see, and let us all unite together and let us join hands to help the Kashmiris. Rather, we don't want to divide it further. That is the biggest agenda. And I'm not talking about me and Pancholi ji. We can discuss here sitting in a cafe a lot of kind of things. But when my honorable Prime Minister propagates for such a certain thing, which the producer himself puts a disclaimer, I don't know who is the producer, whether it is whether I should consider the disclaimer of the producer or Mr. Modi's statement. That is my question is. Coming back to the Kashmiri point, as I said, that it is our collective responsibility. We have to see that a lot of governments, every government has tried to do some or the other thing. Congress has done the maximum portion of for rehabilitation of Kashmir, given maximum packages, given maximum number of houses, maximum number of, please don't interrupt, maximum number of jobs were created. And on the record, I am saying, in 8 years of BJP's tenure and Mr. Narendra Modi's tall talks, 1,567 jobs has been created, out of which half are not filled in Kashmir, wherein 6,000 jobs were created and given to 6,000 Kashmiris during the tenure of Dr. Manmohan Singh. See, there is a question of will to enforce the will and take action to unite Kashmir. Why was Kashmir so silent up till 2013-14? But 2008 to 2014, what was the situation that Kashmir was gaining normalcy? Why people were coming out? Why tourism has started? Why normal things have started happening? I'm talking, last statement I would talk about Ghulam Nabi Azad ji. He today also very categorically said that we respect any solution which is for the benefit of Kashmir. आप ऐसे 10 मूवी बनाना है, 10 मूवी बनाइए, लेकिन हमारे कश्मीरी भाइयों की इससे दुख दर्द पीड़ा कम होने वाली है, तो हम इसको कबूल करेंगे. That was his statement today. He had become a bit emotional. And let me bring to your notice, Ghulam Nabi Azad has got maximum number. Being a central minister, he had continuous dialogue with Dr. Manmohan Singh. He had got he induced 3 medical colleges in Jammu and Kashmir. He did marvelous jobs. He got colleges, he got hospitals, he got roads, so that Kashmir can be connected, Kashmir can be brought to normal. Those are steps, not tall talks. Propagating a movie and giving actual rehabilitation is the end line, I would like to
On
say.
this note,
Thank you.
we'll end as of now.
Give me just 10 seconds.
All right, sir. So 10 seconds for you.
Give me just 10 seconds.
The last 10 seconds.
In the last
Yeah.
10 seconds, I would like to say that the movies, the Kashmir Files, has been produced in this era. That is only the Modi, and the film has been produced. Otherwise, since last long 70 years, nobody can dare to have such movies.
Right,
That
right.
is
All
what I
right,
would like to say
gentlemen,
in the
thank
end.
you so much for giving us your precious time. And I am sure that all 4 of these gentlemen are busy people. They spared time for us. Thank you so much for being here with us this afternoon. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Kashmir Files is trending right now. There are people who are going to watch this film. The government is giving free of cost tickets to people who want to watch this film. And in the end, I would also want to say that I recently came through a pamphlet, an online pamphlet, which said that if you come up with your tickets of Kashmir Files and that you've watched it, you get free of cost dal vada in Vadodara. So it is still this level that the film is gaining popularity. So with this and a lot more that we need to know about what is happening and what happened, make sure that you keep watching The Fact Flash. Thank you. Happy Sunday.